Hello everybody and welcome back to Pokemon Ranger. So, now that we're done with the Capture Challenge, with the Capture Arena Challenge, and now that my arm is no longer hurting after I went through that, now it's time to really start exploring around on the entirety of the Fiore region to see what is new and to see what exactly is different. Now that we have gone through the main game. Now, as you saw, just outside the house of Teresa and her skitties is actually another skitty where, yeah, a skitty that was not there previously. Now, the last skitty that we saw within this area, yeah, it was actually in it was actually just around the fountain where the Ludicolos were. Now now we have ourselves an extra skitty so that we can actually have a skitty as our own own friend. Now the next thing I want to show off is that if you actually head back down here where we first call ourselves a Staryu, well, you see there's currently nothing here, but inside this water is actually where Blastoise is. Yeah, that's right. After our first encounter with Blastoise, yeah, now here is where you can actually get your very own Blastoise your friend Pokemon. So yeah, if you ever feel a need to have your own Blastoise, well, that right there is where you find one. Okay, now I'm gonna head on over to the Dusk Factory again because there are some new Pokemon that have shown. Because there are at least 2 new Pokemon that have now shown up there. But however, just before we do that, I'm gonna once again open up the cut down the gate, which is once again being built up. This wooden fence has been built up again. Yeah, now I'm gonna go back to the area where we first encountered that guy who was controlling the controlling the Machoke. Now, as you'll see, yeah, as you can see on the top screen, there's a Pokemon literally right next to us. But however, we can't see it. We can't see it on the bottom screen. That's because it is actually a Kecleon who is indeed camouflaged. Yeah, there are actually going to be some Pokemon in this game. They're going to be hiding in plain sight. But if you just take a peek at your top screen, and that's when you'll notice that a Pokemon is actually right there. Oh yeah, and if you also talk to that guy right here, yeah, he'll say that he's getting creeped out about something. There's something really creepy going on around here. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is just that he did not notice that the Kecleon was there, was right there next to him. Now, as for Kecleon, yeah, he's not really gonna be all that handy. Yeah, he's only there. Yeah, he's only there just for the sake of fighting. But anyways, now when we go back to the area where we face off against the Garrett Scizor, well, now this area has now been infested with some haunters. Yeah, we finally get to encounter the middle stage of the Ghastly line. But as I said previously, just like with the Ghastly and Gengars, the haunters can also try to abduct your Pokemon too. Yeah, so yeah, just be very careful about that. And then, if you just so happen to go back into this area, yeah, there's actually another Pokemon who is also camouflaged too. But this time it is not a Kecleon. It is actually a Porygon. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that cry definitely means that you have definitely encountered a Porygon. Yeah, and it is. Yeah, and it will make itself invisible to try to confuse to be able to confuse its enemies. But thankfully with that thing on the top, but thankfully with the map on the top screen, yeah, we could easily tell what was there. But anyways, everyone, now with the outside of the factory, yeah, and now here's where the chokes that he used to be in the area when we faced off against Garrett Scizor have now have now shown up in. So if you if you ever still want to get your own Machoke again, well, yeah, now the outside of the factory is where you can now get them. Is where you can now get them. Okay, now I am gonna be going back to the Waterworks because there is another Pokemon that there is at least one new Pokemon that we can actually find there. But now I want to go back towards the clock towers because, yeah, as you see here, yeah, now here's where, yeah, just a Jigglypuff that has decided to spawn here. Yeah, so now if you want your very own Jigglypuff as your actual friend Pokemon, well, there you go. Now, and also, sorry, and also, everyone, now, as we go along within this post-game, now, I am gonna be going back and talking to some citizens that definitely had some importance within the main story. Yeah, just so I can see if they have anything new to say. Now, as for this woman that we helped out to move that crate, and we also took care of that Venonat problem. Yeah, she's essentially just enjoying it. She's essentially just enjoying her life. But anyways, now before we head ourselves back to the Waterworks, there was one more Pokemon I want to get before we head ourselves back there, and it is actually right there. Yeah, along with a few Talos that have now shown up here, but also here's where Blaziken, after the Garage Squad base exploded, yeah, has decided to show up in. Yeah, now I would say out of all of the Pokemon that can utilize free burn, this is definitely the easiest location in order for you to be able to get one. It's just that you just have to worry about Blaziken's very quick movements and the ability to literally jump out of your capture line. Yeah, that's what you just really have to worry about when it comes to Blaziken. Okay, now, as to the reason why I caught Blaziken is because, well, if you recall, back when we went for the Waterworks the first time, and when we actually got to the area where we found the Squirtle in, yeah, and we saw that metal scrap that we could not burn at the time. Well, now that we have Blaziken, we can. Now, as I said previously before, when we faced up against one of the Garage squad members that had all those Rattatas, well, as I said then, yeah, now once you're done with that guy, yeah, now several Rattatas will now start to show up within the Waterworks now. So yeah, sorry everyone. Yeah, now if you want your very own Rattata as your friend Pokemon for some reason, then I suppose that you can too. But anyways. Yeah, once again, it is going to take a while before we get to there. But before we get back there. Now, there is something else that I want to show off. And it actually comes to this, and it actually comes to the slippery areas with the coughings. But that's something that I'll show off once I am done with going over to that other side again, and then utilizing a laser can just to get the burn, to actually burn that scrap metal. Yeah, and I'm getting that. Yeah, and I got this quarterfish just so that, yeah, for when I come back here again, then that quarterfish will not bother me as I'm trying to do my target clear again with Tangle Up. There he is. Yeah, here is indeed one of the Rattatas. Yeah, see there? Yeah, see there? Now when the Rattatas spawn you, then they will instantly go back inside the little vents. But then, as soon as you're about to go near it again, yeah, then the Rattata will show up, and then the Rattatas will come and shut out of the vents again. So yeah, getting the Rattata down here really isn't all that complicated, really. Yeah, it's really just a matter of if you actually really want to get your own Rattatas. Oh God. My God, why are there two crocodiles literally run in front of me? Good grief. Okay, now I'm just gonna go back. Now, I guess since I'm just gonna be heading back. Now, previously I went over several of the music tracks that I told you about when it comes to this game. Now, as I go through this post-game, I may as well talk about a few more of the music pieces that we also got to hear in this game. Now, the music that was playing in the Fiore Temple, yeah, I also like that one too. And then the music that was playing when we faced off against Raiko and Suicune, yeah, that one, I would say that one is just about as good too. And then the music when we faced off against Entei again, yeah, that one was definitely something else. But anyways, now we can go down here. Yep. Here's where you can find a Feraligatr! Oh shit. Okay, yeah, I did not mean to get Eradicator to show up here too. Okay, yeah, I'll restart this fight again. Yeah, I just did not want that Eradicator. I just did not want the Eradicator to get involved. There we go. Okay, now as for Feraligatr, he really loves shooting out those multiple water attacks right there. And if you're not careful, yeah, then as you're trying to do your capture loops around it, the Feraligatr can also charge into your capture line as well too. And considering that it requires 14 loops in order for you to be able to get this Feraligatr, yeah, let's say Feraligatr can definitely be one tough. I would say Feraligatr is definitely one tough cookie to get. So, but if you just happen to get lucky like I did. Yeah, like I was still able to get those capture loops while the alligator was charging like that. Yeah, I would say that's just probably going to be your best bet in order for you to be able to get him without having to utilize your Poké Assists. But now, I'm going to hop all the way down here, is because, yeah, at the very bottom of this slippery sewage, is that... Yeah, even though we went for a mission that required us to take out, to take the Grimers and the Muck out of the Waterworks. Yeah, apparently they now show up. Apparently some Grimers and a Muck will show up at the very bottom of that slippery sewage area. So yeah, if you want your very own Grimer, or Muck as your friend, as your friend Pokemon, well, that right there is where you actually have to go to. Okay, everyone, with that said, that's just about does it for every new Pokemon that we could possibly find that is right near a Fall City. Now, but however, this doesn't mean that we're gonna be done in Fall City. There are still some things that we still need to do here. But not so much when it comes to, yeah, there are still some things that we need to do here. Just not so much when it comes to actually finding, any new Pokemon. Well, technically. Yeah, you'll see what I mean for when we actually, you'll see what I mean for when we actually get to that. But anyways, yeah, now I get this. Yeah, just when you're about to enter the Fall City Ranger base, how do you like the Ranger Ranker feature? Do you find it useful? I want to hear your opinions on it. So how about you visit our lab? I shall be waiting impatiently, as always. Yeah, that right there is what I was talking about, but again, that's something that I'll get into much later. Oh, if it isn't Ditto, you look well. That's a good thing. By the way, do you get this feeling that the people of Fall City have changed? Not sure on that. Lately, I think they're trying to do what they can for themselves. Without running for a ranger run away. There's a sense of determination that was missed before. Yeah, I suppose. I'm glad you came, Ditto. I understand that you've been working on your character skills while patrolling. Yeah. That's really heartening to hear. I think you're going to be a role model for all rangers. Not just those in your team. Yeah, I suppose I could be a role model for somebody, but probably not everybody. Yeah, maybe for somebody, just not everybody. But anyways, my name is everyone. Like I said, now we're done in Fall City for now. Now we're gonna be going back to Ringtown to not only check up on how the other NPCs around there are doing, but also there are now several new Pokemon that we can now find within the Grassland Capture Challenge. And boy, let me tell you, there are several Pokemon that I still have yet to get in that challenge. So, yeah, let's just say I'm definitely gonna be there for a while. Oh yeah, and this guy's saying, that the Go Rock Squad has now been broken up. And we say hello to Larry again. My father came first in a marathon. I think it's from his chasing around his tailo all the time. Yeah, possibly. He says, I'm so happy for him. Yeah, I bet you are. Anyways, hello Larry again. Oh, hi Ditto. I've heard that the Go Rock Squad are disbanded. You deserve a medal for your part. You've done a great thing. You know, Ditto, right from the start, I noticed that you had a certain sparkle about you. No, you didn't. That's a big fat lie, and you know it. You said that I had zero freaking potential. You literally said I had zero potential to help you find your Tailo the first time. The very first time I saw you, man. You don't get a right to say that shit. Anyways, I was pretty surprised when I heard that. You see, I'm Ditto too. No, you're not. That's also a lie. Glad to meet you. That's from one Ditto to another. Like I said, that's a lie. I'm the only one around here. But as with that said, that should be all I'm gonna do for this part. And so to the next part, I'll see you guys next time.